How this truck driver made over $30,000 in under 2 months by wholesaling real estate. I'm joined here by Emily, and he is going to share his wholesaling real estate journey, being a truck driver and really going into wholesaling real estate and actually becoming successful. I know there are so many people that aspire to be like him or have a very similar story to him. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see exactly how he did it. And most importantly, how you can do the same exact thing. So, Millie, thank you so much for coming on today.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So, the reason why you're on today is you actually went on one of the one-on-ones I had on one of my Sunday night live streams. And you're just like, hey, Zach, thank you so much. You're just flashing checks. I'm like, I need to sit down with this guy and see how he's doing it so the people can get inspired and know how to do the same exact thing. So, Millie, tell me your story. How did you get into wholesaling real estate?
So I actually got into wholesaling real estate because like you said, I'm a truck driver, but I also wanted to add another source of income. And I always knew real estate would be in the picture some way, somehow, because I knew the life that I wanted to have for myself, and I still am chasing that. So, and I knew real estate just had to be a part of that plan. So I just did what every other wholesaler did, or investor, anybody that has dreams, just get on YouTube. How can I get into real estate for my current situation? And wholesaling seemed like the best fit. So I started watching videos. Nobody really resonated with me until I came across your guys' channel. So that was pretty awesome. You guys provided me a lot of great tips with negotiation, talking to sellers, building rapport, and that helped me out. I was like, I can actually do this. And there was actually one video that really helped me out and get over the fear of cold calling, because when I tell you, I was trembling in fear to make a cold call, but now I can cold call. No problem at all. I can talk to anybody over the phone. It doesn't matter. Agent, seller, it doesn't matter. But yeah, one of the things you told me, just a tip for guys who can't find the video, because he has over 4,000 videos. It was when you talk with a seller, motivation, family, dreams. And it was
FORD. So family, occupation, recreation, dreams.
That's what it was. And that helped me out. So that's what got me into real estate. I was like, I can do this wholesaling thing.
Man. Dude, so let's get in the story here. So first of all, yes, I do have thousands and thousands of videos for YouTube channels. It's great. If you just go to freewholesaling.com, that's where everyone goes. It makes it a lot easier and simpler. But let's kind of talk about your journey. So what's your background? How did you get started in wholesaling? I know you're a truck driver. Did you start wholesaling this year, last year? I know I've talked to you in the past. Let's kind of break that down.
So funny enough, I actually did my first couple wholesale deals a couple of years ago. But they were small deals. I was like, and those all came from Drive for Dollars. And I was like, hey, it works. I made a little $3K from calling, people or whatever. And then I did another $4,000. And then
what area?
My area, I'm in the Missouri market, Kansas City.
Kansas City, all right.
Yeah, Kansas City. So did Drive for Dollars, did my first couple of deals a couple of years ago. But it wasn't nothing really that could move the needle for me, because I seen everybody else getting like $30,000 checks. I was like, dude, I'm only making like $3,000. I was like, I can hit the road or whatever. And so that's what I ended up doing. I hit the road for about a year and a half, truck driving. But Zach kept uploading videos. And when you're just driving a truck for 11 hours across the country, you got to find something to watch. I don't care what it is. And Zach just kept uploading it. And I'm like, dude, I keep seeing this dude YouTube channel. And I was like, I'm gonna go back home, because I feel like I can get the bigger checks, and I just gotta stick with it. And I ended up taking a risk. I bet on myself, actually. I bet on myself, and I said, you know what? Because I was making good money over the road. But I was like, I'd rather make a lot of money doing real estate, doing that. So I bet on myself, came home, took a pay cut. That way I could have more time to cold call and actually be around and Drive for Dollars. And I spoke with Zach, and he was like, dude, you're in a good market. He was like, you can get the deals done. You did it before. Just do it again. And the fees will get bigger and just build up a more consistent base on doing it, schedule. And I took his advice and I ran with it. And what I ended up doing, I would drive for dollars on the weekends, mostly Sundays. Those would be my favorite days because I would get out in the morning and drive around and add at least 200 properties a day, at least, and that was minimum. Some days it just got crazy, and I did my first couple of deals after that too. Did some more.
So let's break this down. So like you're like oversimplifying how amazing this is. So first of all, like your first couple deals, you got them. So the first deal was what, $3,000, $4,000? How much was it?
My first deal was $3,000. First deal
$3,000.
$3,000.
So tell me, let's talk about that first, because I feel like the first deal's like, okay, this is actually legit.
Okay, yeah. So
I truly believe, because like you're subconsciously, I feel like you got that deal and now you know it's real. And so it's in the back head, like, okay, wholesaling's real. What Zach is saying is real. If I actually know how to do this and start doing $30,000 deals, like I could probably do it, right? So you got it under contract. You found the seller there. Like, let's talk about the first deal, because everyone's first deal is crazy.
yeah.
Were you nervous talking to a seller? Were you not nervous? Like, what was that situation like?
So the first deal, it was pretty nerve-wracking, and it was actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be once I just put the fear aside and actually listen to what you said. So I ended up driving for dollars after work, and I came across this house that was by my job. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call that. And, I came back home, literally just cracked open the laptop, True People search. And then he answered the phone. I was like, hey, is this the owner 123 Main Street? I don't want to say the whole address, but he was like, yeah. And then I was like, hey, I drove past the house today. I was wondering if you'd be interested in the offer. And he was like, yeah. And then I went through the whole little rundown, the condition, the motivation condition, and all that good stuff. And the story behind it was he actually had bought multiple properties that he was working on, and he couldn't get to that in time. So he was like, I'll just cash this one out because I'll probably won't get to this no time soon. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, all right, I'm going to call back. I ran some numbers. I barely knew how to run numbers. And I came back with him, and I kid you not, I was like, am I really about to offer this man $10,000? And I was like, I hope I don't get hung up on. And he was like, you know what? I'll do 14. I was like, okay, I can make that work. So locked it up at 14 grand. And when I tell you this was really smooth because he was real easy to work with. He met up with me, gave me the key to the house, and like I didn't know him from a can of paint. Just gave me the key to the house. He said, "Go look at it." Da, da, da. So I also took another thing when Zach said with the Facebook groups, and I had some buyers show up that weekend, and they was all around like 15K. No, they was all around like 11 or whatever. 14, nothing too crazy. So I was like, I'm gonna break even. So I went back to the seller and I said, hey, I looked at the house. I noticed it was a little bit more damaged than I anticipated. Do you think we could have a little wiggle room? He said, yeah. He ended up dropping down to 11K because remember I locked him up at 14. And the reason why I knew that was a deal because one of the last buyer of the day said, I would take it at 14. And I'm like, that's what I got it locked up at. So when he was like, yeah, I can drop I'll do 11. I was like, deal. And so resent him over the purchase sales agreement. He signed for 11. I immediately called the buyer and I'm like, okay, let's do it for 14 grand. And sent it over to title. I didn't even have a title company yet. I hit up an investor in the area from one of the Facebook groups, and it's like, yeah, a good title company is Accurate over there in Oakland Park. I was like, bet. Sent that over, and they ran title search, and it was a deal made. It was a deal.
Wow, man. Hey, you got that check. How did it feel just to get that first deal, though?
It was kind of crazy. I'm gonna be honest, because you just go from watching videos and like being terrified to make calls and stuff like that to actually holding a check in your hand, and it's like, this is what I've made. I remember working jobs making this like in a whole month. So it was kind of crazy. I'm gonna be honest. It felt so good, and the proof of concept was so real. It was amazing.
Okay. And then you got the second deal, and then you went back to driving. And let's kind of fast forward to recently when you started having more success and getting some consistent deals. Let's kind of start from truck driving, like going back out there and then coming back and then saying, "Hey, I'm going to change." And then you made the change. Let's kind of, how did that go? Tell me the story there.
So when I came back from truck driving, I had that conversation with you, and he was like, "Dude, there's people in your area doing deals."
There is.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah. So I just took that and ran with it, because at that I was like, maybe it's my market, because that's the reason why I went over the road. Because I'm like, maybe it's my market. Maybe that's why I'm not getting like big deals or whatever. And you literally told me, dude, there's people doing deals in your market.
I remember that. I got off a podcast that day with a guy making 40K a month in Kansas City. And it's like, I wasn't having it with you. I was like, I'm not having it with you. Okay. Kansas City's fine.
Yeah, you said that because I was literally like, man, do I guys change markets or whatever? And because another thing, you never put it on none of your top cities. The whole time, I'm like, maybe it is my market. But you gave me that comfort, like, dude, there's people doing deals in your market. There definitely are. So after that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit it even harder. Do way more driving for dollars. And actually, I had set up a schedule for me to cold call, and I cold call for about 6 hours a day, every day. And but I would break it up into parts. Like I would cold call like 3 hours in the morning, and then 3 hours in the evening. So about I would end at like 7 at night. So that was my sweet spot. And within that, I had a follow up. And this was the first deal I did after the phone call, and it was a follow up. And I built massive rapport with him, massive rapport. And after that, I ended up making 11 grand after that on that deal. And after that, I just kept going. And then within the last 60 days, I've made 30 grand. And I just stuck to it.
So let's talk about that one deal, right? So we have two, right? So let's talk about the first one, which was that check for 18. You can check on you right now. You can show people.
Yeah, I got it. It's right here.
You show them. Some people don't believe it. I want everyone to know every single person that I put on the podcast, they got to verify things. So yeah, it's legit, right? I have to let everybody know. Just when I bring someone on the podcast, like Ramil, like you had to email me HUDs, and I had to go verify them. I make sure everyone who comes on here, they have inspiring stories, but I can make sure they're not BS stories. They're legit. And so yeah, anyone can fake a check too, just FYI. But like you got to show the HUDs, the whole thing, show the whole statements. I saw the buyer. I'm not reviewing the buyer, but like verify. Oh, wow, this is legit. I look at the deed, all these things. So this is real stuff. So you made a real 18 grand. Let's talk about that.
So that 18 grand deal, I kid you not, it came. I wasn't really expecting it to be that big of a deal. Like I knew it was going to be a deal because it's a rapport, and I mean this. Rapport is going to get you those big deals. Like rapport is going to get you the deals closed. Like I swear, I'm not rapport. And so this 18K actually came from another Dollar for Dollars lead I had for a while. Followed up, and she was finally ready to sell. And she was like, you know what, I want to work with you. She had other offers, but she was like, I know you the best. I trust you the most. And I was like, okay. So it was an older lady. She didn't live at the home anymore, but that's where she lived. And so she wasn't an investor. It just happened to, she was literally just an absentee owner. Just an absentee owner. And but you wouldn't have found it on a regular list.
Wow.
Because,
So how did you find this deal?
Dollar for Dollars, and I using Deal Machine, it came up as owner occupied. But when you look at the house, it's like, dude, nobody lives here. There's no, it just didn't, maybe they didn't update it, but I was like, there's no way. So anybody that was pulling those absentee lists, you would not have found her. The only way you would have found this deal is if you was Dollar for Dollars. And so yeah, and she was like, hey, I'm gonna send my son, you know, and he showed me the house, and I walked in there. I'm like, this house is livable. Like I can move in here. So it wasn't bad. And, you know, we locked it at a really great price. And I kid you not, I sold that deal within 24 hours.
So what do you lock it up for?
I locked it up for 30 grand.
30 grand. Were they like negotiating with it? Like how did that work out?
So kid you not. So she originally would have took, I think she was at 20 or 25. She was at 20. I swear, I promise you, it was at 2025. She was ready to sign and everything. So yeah, because I offered 20, and she was like, that'll work. And then she looked at it. She was like, you know what, I'll do 22.5. I was like, okay, that's fine. Whatever you want to do. So then this is what kind of scared me. Because this deal was pretty simple, but it was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster too. Because she kind of ghosted me after that.
Oh,
Yeah, she ghosted me. I'm like, dude, why is she not answering? Like, and then I just remembered like one of the videos. She was like, dude, if you want it, you gotta get it.
yeah.
You gotta get it. Don't know. Like, so I ended up calling. She finally picked up, and you know, she was like, I'm sorry. My sister's in the hospital, whatever. And I was like, yeah. And then, which I'm pretty sure she really was, but I know that wasn't it.
Yeah.
What really was, she told me she had got an offer for 30 grand. So I was like, okay, you know what?
That's how it always goes.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so that's why you ghosted me. She had ghosted me for like 5 days. And I was like, you know what? I'll do the 30 days. I mean, I'll do the 30 grand, but we have to have an agreement now. You know, I didn't say it so mean. You just, when you cold call and you talk to people, you know how to say things, who you talk. You got to match the tones with your dad said, Rick, there's different type of sellers, and you got to match their tone. And that's what I did. So we locked it up at 30 grand. And, you know, it's a deal after that. And I sold it within 24 hours, 24 hours. I had sent some buyers to go look at it. I had got the key from the son. They looked at it. It's like, we'll take it at 48. And it was a done deal.
Well, how did you find the buyers here?
So I did some networking from a couple of past deals and Facebook groups, really. It's really a lot of networking on Facebook groups. A lot of networking from Facebook groups. So
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, you got to get on those Facebook groups. You got to know how to vet them out, you know. And I have some in my contacts. And what's crazy, I didn't post it on no Facebook groups. I just built a buyers list. I got my own solid buyers list. And I'm like, okay, you guys are legit. I trust you. You know, you guys are for real. And I got a solid 10 buyers that buy in the Kansas City metro area. And they're legit. And I just sent it out to them, and they took it like hotcakes. It was pretty crazy.
Beautiful, man. And so you got the deal doing that. Got 18 grand. I probably felt pretty good to get back into it and actually make a decently good sized deal, right?
Yeah. And it felt so unreal. I remember the day before closing, I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm about to make 18 grand on one deal. Like, no way. And then it actually happened. I got the call like, hey, yeah, your check is ready. And my heart is pounding as I'm driving up to the title company. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is insane. So yeah, that's how that happened.
So you got that deal. And then after that, you got the other deal, which was supposed to be like 10 or 12. We got a little change. Like, what's the story on that one?
So so there was a deal within that same time frame where it was supposed to be like 7 to 10. Uh, but when I tell you, this is why you vet your buyers out, because not all of them are good people, and some of them are shady. Some
Yeah.
of them are real shady, and we end up getting like to closing, and we still closed, but it was only for $1,500. But my main thing is, and once you get into this, you're gonna realize you're gonna do it for the sellers too. Like, because you hear these seller stories and you find out why they're selling their homes and stuff like that, and it kind of gets to you, and you want to make sure you do your best to get that deal closed. Like, you want to make sure. So at that, it had got to the point to where, like, I would have said screw it, because that's how shady this buyer was. It was crazy. It was crazy. But I wanted to keep my promise to the seller and make sure we closed. But she just we got to closing, and she was like, no. She hit me with all these rules, and she was like, no, I want the key to da da da, or I want this da da da, just all crazy kind of stuff that she did not say prior to closing. Like, you had all this time to say this, and now you want to say a day before closing. And she talked me all the way down to, like, because I had it locked up with the seller at 30 grand. She ended up talking me down to 31.5. She will close on it.
Jeez.
Yeah, but I was still happy because I had an 18 grand deal too.
Yeah.
So I was
And
like, I'll just tag this along.
and so those were the two deals in the 60 days, right?
No, there's another deal within it.
There's three, right? Okay.
Yeah, there was 3 deals within the 60 days, and this one was let me see. So here's just for people to see. These are the three other two in the last 60 days. So there's three altogether. Three altogether.
Okay. I think the HUD you sent me were. I thought it was two, but you stacked them on. All right.
Yeah.
How about
So
that other deal? Well, let's get back to that second deal really quick. So that was drawing for dollars too, right?
all of them draw for dollars.
So when you cold call for drawing for dollars, what's the script that you use?
So depending on, because sometimes I don't take pictures of all of them, but if I did take a picture, when I call, I would just point something out that I noticed in the picture, like, hey, it's this owner of 123 Main Street. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, hey, man, I drove past a house earlier today, and I noticed, your window was busted out, or like your grass is really tall. What's going on? And I would literally just like that, like, hey, what's going on? Is anybody living there? I try my best not to sound like a robot.
Yeah, that's great. I love that one, man. You kind of use a little what I do, and then kind of added your own thing. And if it's working, just keep doing it, right? So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And you just ask them, hey, you're looking to sell it, I'm looking to buy. Like, how do you transition into that?
So no, I always ask, hey, it's either would you be open to offer for it, or have you ever thought about selling it? I would kind of word it in that way, because I really don't want to sound like a robot, because you learn, like, they're getting other calls. Like, they're getting other calls. So how can you be different? So, and that's how I would do it. Like, hey, have you ever thought about selling it? What you plan on doing with it? I noticed this, that. And we'll just literally just go into a conversation and keep it going from there.
Okay. And then you set the appointment, and the rest is history. So let's talk about that last deal you did. So let's kind of do, you driving for dollars. What's the story on this one?
So this one was driving for dollars, and this one was pretty crazy too. But it wasn't too crazy, honestly. Dealing with the seller was real easy. Buyer was real easy. The buyer I knew for a long time. So, he's a good buyer. He's a friend. Some buyers you get real close to, and he's like a friend to me. So, and yeah, driving for dollars. Called her. She was like, "Yeah, I'll be willing to sell." I met her up at the house. Walked in. I was like, "Okay, total rehab," and I offered her 20 grand. She was like, can you do 25? And I was like, let me call my partner.
Yeah.
And I was like, I act like I called my partner, and came back and was like, he said we can meet in the middle, and we did 22.5. And she was like, "Okay, that's cool." We signed papers right there on the spot, same day. Wow. And I called my friend. I was like, "Hey, are you and your dad looking to buy another house? Because they literally just sold a fix and flip." So they're like, "Yeah, we're ready to move some more money." So called them up, and they're like, "Okay, we'll meet you there." And I think it was like the next day, and they looked at it. They was like, "Yeah, we'll take it," because they do all the construction themselves too. So they save a lot of money. Yeah, so they actually do the work themselves. So they saved a lot of money. So they're like, "Yeah, we'll take it," and we locked it up at 32.5.
Wow. Okay, so you locked it for 32.5, and then you sold it for how much?
No, I locked it up for 22.5, and I sold
22.5. Yeah, so it's 10.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's a good amount of money, man. And then you got it closed. So
yeah,
that's a lot in 60 days for a lot of people, and that's very, very good, right? What's your tip for building rapport? Like I seem like one big superpower you got is building rapport. I know you use the Ford method, but like there's got to be something else to it, right?
I mean, everything else, it's really the Ford method, man. Like,
yeah.
it's the Ford method plus I just mix it together. Like, I fuse the Ford method with the motivation, condition, price,
that's great,
and timeline. Like, I mix those two together and just have a conversation within those two. Like, and then me being from Kansas City, I can also, I have an advantage on that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you Central alumni? Me too. I'm class of 2016. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm class at 81. So I have that kind of stuff. I just talk to him.
Wow. What's kind of your go-to like rapport building lines?
My go-to rapport building lines. Man, Zach, if I could tell, when I tell you I've made so many calls since I came back from over the road, it's like you just flow. I'm pretty sure you do it too. You can just flow with the conversation. Like, you don't let them.
It's a skill, man. Like you can get someone who just doesn't want to talk to you, but like if you know how to do it the right way, it works out well. And so, I mean, I'd like to ask you, how do you have your confidence for this? But it's just like you've just done it so many times, right? And so it's like it's just
repetition. It's like, and you've literally told me, it's like, dude, you're gonna have people cut you out. You're gonna do. And once I was like, dude, this is literally it. Because I've had great conversations with people that didn't want to sell, and once you learn, like, everybody's different, you'll be fine. And I just make calls. Nothing phases me, and literally, I can talk all day. It doesn't matter.
I love it, man. So, like, just kind of sign off here. If you were going to talk to anybody trying to get into Kansas City or anywhere, they're starting out, maybe they're a truck driver right now. What's your best piece of advice for them? They're kind of stuck where they're at. They want to get out of whatever they're doing. What would you tell them?
If you're a truck driver and you're over the road, like I was, you got two options. You either have somebody at home call for you while you're over the road, or you come back home, you bet on yourself, and I know you're a trucker, dude, so I know you can find a job anywhere. You can find a trucking job anywhere, dude. I don't care what you say. and you just come home and you hit the phone. You gotta start dialing. If you dial enough, you will get a deal. It's as simple as that. You gotta build out some type of schedule like around, because trucking, I just like you and me, brother. You can find any trucking job in the country and that it fits your schedule. Whether it's night drives, if you want to do local, regional, you can make it work. So that's what I would say to another trucker.
That's beautiful, man. And so, dude, your story is amazing. I know it's inspiring. I know you got so much more in the future now. So, what are you doing right now? Are you just like full time driving for dollars? What's kind of the plan for you?
So right now, I'm a believer in if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so I still drive because I actually like driving too. That's probably the reason why I got into trucking. So it's a blessing to be able to do both. And I stick to driving for dollars, and I just cold call, cold call, cold call, cold call on
Beautiful, man.
my off time.
So I'm telling you, man, it's amazing. I know you're actually documenting your journey on YouTube. So you have a YouTube channel. Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is Hustling with Millie, Millie. You could find the channel. I'm documenting the journey and I'm helping people out the best way I know how, which is giving them driving for dollars tips, what I look for when I'm out driving for dollars, and just documenting my journey. I'm gonna be helping more people out.
I love it. You have an Instagram too. So if somebody has a deal in Kansas City, they want to kind of JV with you, they need help selling the deal. You got some good buyers. This is your Instagram, right? Hustling with Millie.
Yeah, Hustling with Millie.
So send them a DM. And is it just your regular name with on Facebook? They're trying to get with you there.
So if you're looking for me on my on Facebook, you want to just type in either my regular name, or you can do the Hustling with Millie too.
Beautiful, man. And so send him deals, right? He's got the buyers, so he's a great connection to have in there, and a great person. He's legit. He's got the HUD, so I appreciate it. Millie, thank you so much for hopping on here. I know it's really inspiring. Do you have any parting thoughts you want to give to the audience before we head out here?
Any parting thoughts? I would say it doesn't happen overnight. You got to make the calls. If you literally just follow what Zach says and you just literally just stick to it, you will have success, man. I can't. It's you can break down the numbers of how many people there are in the world, how many houses there are. You will get a deal. Find the motivation, find out what works best for you, and just stick with it. Be consistent, and you will definitely get a deal.
Beautiful. Millie, thank you so much for hopping on. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right.
Thanks for helping me out.